Welcome back to Venture. I'm Cris Valerio. We're talking barter with Mr. Don Mardak, the CEO of International Monetary Systems. One of the things I read, Don, was that something like 60% of NYSE-listed companies participate in some kind of barter activity. So what are some of the big firms that are part of, for instance, IMS barter? Give us some examples, some tangible examples of what we're seeing.
Sure. First of all, primarily, most of the other trade exchanges that we've spoken about, as well as IMS, were primarily a retail barter network, which is dealing with smaller businesses in each community. Now, we also have a second division, which is called National Trade Association, or NTA Trade. And in that division, we do deal with larger companies. Recently, Club Med signed up with us to trade at an international level, to trade their lodging. We have most all the major magazines in America as members of that system.
What are they doing, the magazines? What are they trading?
Advertising space. In fact, I recall just a few weeks ago, I picked up the local Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and it was about 8 pages thick, the first section, and it used to be 40 pages thick. There are publications that were 48 pages that are today 24 pages. And that means because they're not getting advertisers to fill all that extra space, so they might as well trade some of that space and get spending power, trade dollars, that they can use for their other needs. Remember, that's all that money is. It's spending power. You can't eat it and you can't wear it. You have to convert it into the food and the clothing. So what's the difference if you use an IMS dollar to get your food and clothing or a US dollar?
Now, speaking of advertising, what percentage, obviously marketing and advertising for something like a barter company would be huge. What percentage do you think of your budget do you have to spend on that?
Of our budget, we don't spend all that much. It's a moderate amount, but again, we use our earned trade dollars and spend trade wherever possible.
So you're just working on a whole other level.
Last year, toward the end of the year, we spent quite a few dollars on advertising. We were on Forbes.com for a long time. We were on U.S. News and World Report. We were on. And
you're paying for those, or you're bartering for them?
We actually use trade in most of those cases. We were on several other networks where we were actually using our trade dollars to buy our advertising.
On Forbes.com and on all these.
In that particular case, there was some advertising that was done. Sometimes certain transactions are one-time transactions. Some of them are an ongoing type of situation where they become clients in general.
How have you seen the types of transactions change over the years from 1985 to now, the kinds of things that are being traded? How have you seen that progress?
That's interesting, because yesterday I was having lunch with the manager of our New York office, and she had mentioned that she is seeing people spending so much more on essentials now than they used to. In the very beginning, I saw a lot of frivolous spending in the trade system. I once mentioned to somebody, I've never seen so many people take limousine rides because they have all this new spending power. But now, she said, as I've also noticed, they are spending a lot more on dental work and giving health coverage to their employees through the barter system. In case their insurance policies don't cover everything, they can supplement that with the trade dollar usage in the medical field. We had a situation that's quite a human interest story. Some years ago, my wife and I were selling our home to downsize and move into a condo. And in doing that, we decided to have our carpets cleaned. And naturally, we used an IMS carpet cleaner. And once the carpet cleaner was there,
naturally,
the couple started talking to us. And when they learned that we were the principal owners of the trade exchange, their eyes welled up with tears. And they suddenly were saying things like, "You can't imagine what you've done for us. We've never had any money for anything outside of the ordinary. We just have no spending power. We have no money in the bank. But because we're in your system, we now have $6,000 in your barter bank." And we took our best friends out to dinner last week. And those people asked us, "What did you do, win the lottery?" They couldn't believe it, that we could do this for them.
Now, one of the questions being, and really quick here, about 30 seconds, but retail obviously is so much about managing inventory. So how much, especially given the current environment, have you seen people trying to manage their inventory using this type of?
Quite a bit more than ever. Just a week or two ago, we had a merchant in Long Island, actually, who had 69 flat-screen television sets that he was having trouble moving. And we have a new internet marketplace, which I'll describe in a moment. But on that marketplace, he put those TV sets on there, and he moved 69 sets in 3 hours.
And that's an example of barter.
That's the power of barter.
Okay, we'll talk more about it. Don Mardak, CEO of International Monetary Systems. You're watching Venture. Stay with us. Welcome back to Venture. I'm Cris Valerio. We are talking the business of barter. You heard me right. Don Mardak, CEO of International Monetary Systems here. And we were just talking about how the current environment is kind of increasing, you said, the interest in barter. Tell me a little bit about just the percentage of new companies you've seen sign up perhaps since this crisis began.
Well, it's been the biggest thing is that our trade, we have a number of salespeople out in the field, about 20 people on our staff who are selling on the streets, signing up members, and they've told me that they're getting much less resistance, that more people are very receptive to the idea than it's ever been. We're also getting many more people to sign up on the internet passively, which is wonderful to see because we don't have to spend any money doing that. They just come in and join. And that's been the greatest advantage there.
Now, you guys are a public company, down, it's a penny stock right now, down about 85% in the past year. You've recently increased your stake in the company. You have about 30% stake in the company. But how's it been as a publicly traded company going through this current recession? I mean, your stock price has taken a huge hit. Now, do you feel the pressure there from shareholders?
Not really, because we have a very solid core of people who believe very much in what we're doing. And the hit that we've taken has nothing to do with the market or with the performance of the company. It's all because we had a major investor that had some problems and had to liquidate their position, and there's been a huge overhang of shares that have caused the price to go down like it has.
And that would be Praetorian Offshore Fund. I just want to let our audience know they had about a 16.6% stake in the company, correct? And they had to close the fund, like many funds that had to close actually in this time. So your company kind of an example perhaps of what some other small publicly traded companies are going through. What has that experience been like? What have you learned through this experience?
Well, it's been interesting. We find that though we have so many loyal shareholders and so many other people are finding out about us that there's a much greater volume of buying starting to take place, and we really believe that we're going to bring that price back shortly. We're extremely undervalued right now. We're trading at about 1/2 of our book value and about 1/4 of our revenue, which is unheard of in the stock market arena. So our stock price was between 60 cents and $1 for almost 2 years, and it will certainly, I believe, get back there. In fact, I've started making purchases myself, as have other officers and insiders.
In April was your latest purchase. Saw that. Let's just talk real quickly about expansion plans. Last thing here to talk about. You guys operate locally, you operate nationally. Any plans for international expansion?
Well, we do have an office in Toronto, Canada, so to that degree we're international.
Yes.
It's not easy to ship products across the seas and to get things because the cost of freight is so great. So the easiest thing to trade, which I mentioned earlier, is travel. If you can get lodging in a foreign country or in another state, that's easy to trade. It doesn't take any money to ship the lodging.
And you guys have actually started kind of a travel broker side.
Right. We've always had a travel division, which my daughter runs, and it's one of our biggest areas of income because so many people like to travel or need to travel for various reasons. But we've also created a much greater online presence recently, and we have an online marketplace that we're very proud of. Our website, by the way, is www.imsbarter.com, and on that website...
He's ever the entrepreneur here.
On that website, we've created this marketplace where people are offering their products and services, and there now are, I think, about 3,700 products being listed. It's very much like an eBay type thing, and that's where all those TV sets were just sold. And
10 seconds, really quickly. What's it like to work with your family? Because you do have
It's been wonderful. It's our greatest. I think that's our greatest achievement and what we're most proud of.
Mr. Don Mardak, the CEO President of IMS Barter. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Venture. Be sure to join us next week. In the meantime, by the way, you can follow me on Twitter. I am Cris Valerio. Thanks for watching.